My relationship to Hull House is multifaceted, but as it relates to the Participatory Arts exhibition, I was asked to share some of my research and some of the pieces that I've been spending time with that relate to Sadie, whose book, Cows Can Be Purple, really informed kind of how I was thinking about what I would bring to the conversation. So I was a part of the Participatory Arts Crafting Social Change exhibition, and my contribution was to share a booklet that is a transcript of conference proceedings from 1974, a panel that was organized by Cliff Joseph. Cliff Joseph came up as someone who had done a few things that I think really tied in with some of the questions that were posed through the Participatory Arts exhibition. And that is really about, what is the role of art in community practices that are focused on creating social change, addressing issues of social inequality, right, and injustice. You have a field that's professionalizing in 1969 as the rise of the Black Power movement. You have a lot of artists, Black arts movements. People are using the terminology the third world. I stumble across this in the archive, which makes me sort of wonder about how art therapy historicizes itself. So in the Participatory Arts exhibition, I think what gets highlighted when we think about the history of Hull House is this is sort of in this period in which what we know of professions today is really different, right? This sort of solidifying of distinct, highly specialized fields. It's not always been the case. And so what you find from Black art therapists in this period is that you have artists who are working as educators, you have teachers who are artists, you have an art therapist who is also, like Cliff Joseph, who's also protesting the museum in Harlem. And so you have all of these spaces that are being politicized by Black cultural workers. And so art therapy then becomes something that's a part of this larger theater that is not often described when you kind of focus only on the aspects of art therapy that are about sitting with one person and making art with that one person as a part of their therapy or treatment. And so how do we understand how we get there as one method of working with people and thinking with people through issues that they might be facing? And so when I think about the work of A Long Walk Home, right, it's really that legacy of Black feminism, very much leaders in the third world movement in that period as well, right? So issues of gender and issues of sexuality and that class, race, all of those are overlapping and really forming that early and necessary discourse around that overlap, those interlocking oppressions, right? I tend to think about, how people communicate and what are the ways that culture shapes and impacts where people feel empowered to say things. And so given the fact that certain historical realities make it extremely difficult and painful to talk about things that impact you because of your race, because of your class, because of your gender, because of your sexuality, I think people can gravitate towards visual art as a way to give voice to experiences that are silenced in order to maintain that cultural norm. Perhaps making art is a way to getting to speaking. When a survivor is able to work on healing themselves, right, then everyone else in the community is also a part of that process. It's important to know that you're not doing all this work by yourself. And it's important to understand how issues of race and class and gender and sexuality and disability and nationality, right, and language, how those things will play a major role in the therapy. I think that we're just crossing paths very much with Hull-House, its histories, and with Cliff Joseph's panel, Art Therapy in the Third World. Those kind of the contesting voices that were, at play are still at play. And so that's something also that I was hoping that people would take away from being a part of the, coming to the exhibition and being a part of the workshop.